Most people think power belongs to the loudest voice in the room. They believe influence comes from attention, constant talking, and proving yourself every second. But history keeps revealing something different. The people who truly shape the world are often the ones nobody notices at first. They are quiet, they observe, they think deeply before they move, and while everyone else is trying to be seen, they are building something stronger than attention. They are building presence. Quiet people understand something most people miss. Noise does not equal strength. Insecure people often fill silence because silence forces them to face themselves. But calm people are comfortable in silence because they know who they are. They do not need constant validation to feel valuable. That inner stability becomes power over time. When a quiet person enters a difficult season, they do not waste energy complaining. They study the situation, they adapt, they listen carefully. While others react emotionally, they remain composed. And in moments of pressure, the calmest person usually becomes the leader everyone follows. The world rewards people who can think clearly under stress. Loud emotion may attract attention for a moment, but calm thinking changes outcomes. Quiet people develop this ability because they spend more time reflecting than reacting. They train their minds to understand before speaking. That creates wisdom, and wisdom always outlasts noise. There is also a hidden strength in being underestimated. Quiet people are rarely expected to dominate. People overlook them, doubt them, ignore them. But that becomes an advantage. When nobody expects greatness from you, you gain the freedom to grow without distraction. You can improve in silence while others chase approval. The dangerous thing about quiet people is that they are always learning. They pay attention to patterns, emotions, weaknesses, and opportunities. They notice details others miss because they are not obsessed with being the center of attention. Observation becomes intelligence. Intelligence becomes strategy. Strategy becomes influence. Real power is not forcing people to hear you. Real power is speaking so clearly and intentionally that people remember every word. Quiet people understand the value of restraint. They do not speak just to fill space. They speak when it matters. And because of that, their words carry weight. Think about the strongest people you have ever met. Many of them were not loud. They were grounded, calm, focused. Their energy made people feel secure. They did not dominate the room with volume. They dominated with presence. Quiet people also build emotional control. They learn to process emotions internally instead of exploding publicly. This does not mean they feel less. It means they have learned discipline. And discipline is one of the highest forms of power a human can develop. A person who controls their emotions cannot easily be manipulated. A person who stays calm during chaos becomes extremely difficult to defeat. While others lose focus through anger, fear, or ego, quiet people often stay connected to purpose. That ability changes everything. The truth is, society often misunderstands silence. People confuse quietness with weakness because they only recognize visible confidence. But there is another kind of confidence, the kind that does not need applause, the kind that walks into a room without trying to impress anyone, the kind that stays focused even when nobody is watching. That confidence becomes unstoppable because it is built internally, not externally. Quiet people know that growth happens away from the spotlight. Seeds grow underground before anyone sees the tree. Strength develops in private before it appears in public. The strongest minds are often shaped during silent battles nobody knows about, and eventually the same people who were ignored become impossible to ignore. Because power is not about who talks the most. It is about who stays focused the longest. It is about who can remain disciplined when emotions rise. It is about who can think clearly while everyone else panics. Quiet people master these skills naturally because silence trained them long before success arrived. Never underestimate the quiet person in the room. They may be carrying more vision, more discipline, and more resilience than anyone realizes. While the world is distracted by noise, they are building strength that cannot be shaken. And one day, without warning, the person nobody noticed becomes the person nobody can stop. Quiet people notice the details that most people rush past every single day. While loud minds are focused on being heard, quiet minds are focused on understanding. That difference changes everything. Observation is one of the rarest forms of intelligence because it requires patience, discipline, and emotional control. Most people react instantly to situations without fully seeing what is happening around them. Quiet people slow down long enough to recognize patterns, behaviors, weaknesses, and opportunities that others completely miss. In high-pressure environments, the average person loses awareness because emotions take over. Fear creates panic. Ego creates distraction. Excitement creates carelessness. But quiet people often remain steady because they are naturally trained to process before reacting. This allows them to absorb more information in less time. They can sense tension in conversations, shifts in energy, dishonesty in body language, and uncertainty hidden behind confidence. While others only hear words, quiet observers study intention. Human behavior researchers found that people who spend more time listening and observing during conversations are often viewed as more trustworthy, emotionally intelligent, and strategically aware than people who dominate discussions. Observation creates preparation. Preparation creates confidence. That is why quiet people often appear calm, even during uncertainty. They are not calm because life is easier for them. They are calm because they noticed the signs before everyone else did. They saw the mistake forming early. They recognized the emotional pattern. They understood the direction before the crowd reacted. This hidden awareness gives them an advantage that cannot easily be taught. Most people underestimate the power of silence because silence looks passive from the outside. But internally, quiet minds are active. They are analyzing, connecting ideas, reading situations, watching reactions, building understanding. Loud people often reveal everything they think immediately. Quiet people collect information first, and the person with the most information usually controls the outcome. In leadership, observation matters more than constant speaking. Teams do not collapse because of a lack of words. They collapse because leaders fail to notice problems early. Quiet leaders often recognize tension before conflict explodes. They notice discouragement before performance drops. They notice exhaustion before burnout destroys momentum. Their awareness allows them to respond wisely instead of emotionally. Quiet people also understand people deeply because they spend less time trying to impress and more time trying to understand. They study motivations. They recognize insecurities hidden behind arrogance. They recognize pain hidden behind anger. They recognize fear hidden behind perfection. This emotional awareness creates influence because people feel understood around them. The loudest person in the room usually controls attention for a moment. The most observant person often controls the direction of the entire room over time. Observation gives clarity. Clarity gives strategy. Strategy gives power. There is also strength in noticing opportunities others ignore. Many people miss life-changing moments because they move too fast. Quiet people pay attention to small details that eventually create massive results. They notice connections, habits, open doors, timing. They understand that success rarely announces itself loudly. Sometimes the greatest opportunity appears in an ordinary moment that distracted people overlook. Studies on decision-making environments revealed that individuals who observe carefully before acting consistently make stronger long-term judgments than those who react immediately under emotional pressure. Quiet people develop patience because observation requires stillness, and patience is becoming rare in a world addicted to speed and attention. Everyone wants instant recognition, instant success, instant results. But the people who truly win in life often move differently. They study first, they prepare quietly. They wait for the right moment, then they act with precision. That is why quiet people become dangerous over time. Not because they seek control, but because they understand reality more clearly than most people around them. They are less distracted by noise, less controlled by emotion, less desperate for approval. Their strength comes from awareness, and awareness changes the way they move through life. The world often overlooks quiet people in the beginning because their power is not obvious, but observation builds wisdom, and wisdom eventually becomes influence that cannot be ignored. Power is not built in moments of attention, it is built in moments of discipline. The world often confuses noise with strength because loud people attract immediate recognition. They speak constantly, announce every move, and chase validation from everyone around them. But real power works differently. Real power grows quietly through consistency, control, sacrifice, and daily discipline that nobody applauds in the beginning. Anyone can make noise when emotions are high. Anyone can sound confident for a few minutes, but discipline reveals itself over time. It appears in the person who keeps showing up when motivation disappears. It appears in the person who remains focused while others become distracted. It appears in the individual who continues building even when nobody notices their effort. Noise creates attention. Discipline creates transformation. Most people want the rewards of power without accepting the responsibility required to build it. They admire successful people but ignore the years of invisible discipline behind that success. Every strong leader, athlete, creator, or visionary developed habits that separated them from average thinking. They trained themselves to act with purpose even during difficult seasons. That consistency became their advantage. Behavioral performance studies consistently show that long-term success is more strongly connected to disciplined routines and emotional self-control than to talent, personality, or public confidence. Discipline is difficult because it requires acting without immediate reward. Human nature wants comfort, recognition, and fast results. Discipline demands the opposite. It demands patience when progress feels slow. It demands focus when distractions are everywhere. It demands effort when emotions say stop. Most people surrender because they only move when they feel inspired. Disciplined people move because they made a decision. That is why discipline becomes power. It separates temporary emotion from permanent commitment. Noise often hides weakness. Many people talk excessively because they are trying to convince themselves they are strong. They make promises publicly but fail privately. They speak about goals more than they work toward them. Quiet, disciplined people do the opposite. They spend less time announcing and more time building. Their confidence comes from preparation, not performance. The strongest people are usually not obsessed with proving themselves every day. They are too focused on growth. They understand that results eventually speak louder than words. While others chase attention, disciplined people chase improvement, and improvement compounds over time. Discipline also creates emotional control. A disciplined mind does not panic easily because it has been trained through repetition. When pressure arrives, disciplined people rely on habits instead of emotions. They know emotions change constantly, but principles remain stable. That stability becomes a source of strength during chaos. The dangerous thing about disciplined people is that they continue moving forward even when life becomes uncomfortable. Rejection does not stop them. Delay does not stop them. Criticism does not stop them. They may slow down temporarily, but they do not abandon the mission. Their focus is stronger than their feelings. Research in performance psychology revealed that individuals with disciplined daily habits are significantly more likely to sustain high achievement under stress compared to those who depend mainly on motivation or emotional energy. Discipline shapes identity. Every repeated action teaches your mind who you are becoming. When a person chooses consistency over excuses, they slowly develop inner confidence that cannot be faked. They begin trusting themselves because they repeatedly keep their own commitments. That self-trust becomes one of the most powerful forms of confidence a human can possess. Noise seeks approval from the outside world. Discipline builds authority from within. Many people fail because they underestimate small actions. They wait for massive opportunities while ignoring daily discipline. But power is rarely built through one dramatic moment. It is built through ordinary decisions repeated consistently over time. Waking up early, staying focused, controlling distractions, managing emotions, continuing when results are invisible. Those small disciplines eventually create extraordinary outcomes. Quiet discipline also protects people from arrogance. Loud success often creates ego because attention becomes addictive. Discipline keeps people grounded because it reminds them that growth never stops. Disciplined individuals understand there is always another level of learning, another level of preparation, another level of mastery. The truth is simple. The world may celebrate noise temporarily, but it always respects discipline eventually, because discipline produces results that cannot be ignored. It creates resilience during difficulty, clarity during pressure, and strength during uncertainty. Power does not belong to the loudest voice in the room. It belongs to the person who can remain committed long after excitement fades. Silence becomes most powerful when pressure enters the room. In difficult moments, most people lose clarity because emotions begin controlling their thinking. Fear creates panic, anger creates reckless decisions, stress creates confusion. The louder the environment becomes, the harder it is for people to think clearly. But silence changes that. Silence slows the mind down long enough to separate emotion from truth. Quiet people often develop this strength naturally because they spend more time thinking than reacting. They learn how to remain still while chaos surrounds them. That ability gives them a massive advantage in life because pressure exposes the difference between emotional reactions and disciplined thinking. Most people believe strength means responding immediately. They think quick reactions prove confidence and authority. But many of the worst decisions in life happen because people react before understanding the situation fully. Silence creates space for awareness. It allows the mind to process information instead of becoming controlled by emotion. Cognitive performance research found that individuals who pause and reflect under stress consistently make more accurate decisions than those who respond instantly during emotionally charged situations. Pressure reveals character. When problems appear, loud minds often become louder because panic needs an outlet. But calm people understand something important. Not every situation requires immediate noise. Sometimes the strongest response is silence long enough to think clearly. Silence protects people from emotional mistakes. Many relationships collapse because words were spoken in anger. Many careers are damaged because emotions controlled reactions. Many opportunities disappear because fear rushed a decision. Silence gives wisdom time to catch up with emotion. It creates control in moments where most people lose it. There is also power in observing during pressure. Quiet individuals often notice details others miss because they are not consumed by emotional reactions. While everyone else is talking, blaming, or panicking, they are studying the situation carefully. They recognize patterns, weaknesses, and solutions that emotional people overlook. In leadership, silence can create stability. During chaos, teams look for calm energy. People naturally trust individuals who remain composed under pressure because calmness signals control. A leader who reacts emotionally spreads fear. A leader who stays grounded creates confidence. Silence does not mean weakness. It means discipline. It means choosing understanding over impulsiveness. It means refusing to let pressure control your behavior. Quiet people know that clarity is impossible when emotions are screaming louder than reason. Pressure also exposes how prepared a person truly is. Those who depend only on motivation often collapse when life becomes difficult. But people who developed inner stillness can think clearly even when circumstances become heavy. Their silence becomes strength because it keeps them connected to logic, purpose, and perspective. Studies in high-pressure decision environments showed that emotional regulation and calm reflection were among the strongest predictors of leadership effectiveness during crisis situations. Many people fear silence because silence forces them to face their thoughts. Noise becomes a distraction from uncertainty, insecurity, or fear. But disciplined individuals become comfortable with silence because they understand growth happens there. Reflection happens there. Clarity happens there. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in life are born in quiet moments. Not during distraction, not during emotional chaos, in silence. That is where people reconnect with truth. That is where solutions become visible. That is where focus returns. Quiet minds also recover faster under pressure because they waste less energy reacting emotionally. Emotional overreaction drains mental strength. Calm observation preserves it. Silence allows people to think strategically instead of emotionally. That difference changes outcomes in business, leadership, relationships, and personal growth. The world often rewards speed, but speed without clarity creates destruction. Silence slows people down enough to make stronger decisions. It creates awareness before action, understanding before reaction, wisdom before words. Under pressure, weak minds become controlled by the environment around them. Strong minds create stillness inside themselves regardless of the environment. That internal stillness becomes a form of power because it allows clear thinking when others lose control. Quiet people understand that not every battle is won by speaking louder. Some battles are won by staying calm long enough to see what others cannot see. Silence sharpens awareness. It protects judgment. It strengthens emotional control. And in moments where pressure breaks most people, silence often becomes the reason certain individuals rise above the chaos with clarity nobody else can find. Deep thinkers do not move through life trying to impress everyone around them. They move with purpose. Every decision carries intention. Every action connects to a larger vision. While most people are distracted by ego, attention, and competition, deep thinkers focus on meaning, growth, and long-term impact. That difference separates temporary success from lasting influence. Ego is loud because it constantly needs recognition. It wants validation from other people to feel important. It chases status, applause, and superiority. But purpose operates differently. Purpose does not need constant attention because it is rooted in something deeper than public approval. Deep thinkers understand this early. They know that chasing attention can easily destroy focus. Most people react emotionally because ego controls their behavior. Criticism hurts them deeply. Rejection breaks their confidence. Comparison creates insecurity. They spend more time defending their image than improving their reality. Deep thinkers avoid this trap because they are focused on progress, not performance. Psychological studies on long-term achievement reveal that individuals driven by internal purpose consistently demonstrate greater resilience, clearer decision-making, and stronger emotional stability than individuals primarily motivated by external validation. Purpose creates direction. Ego creates distraction. Deep thinkers spend time reflecting on why they do what they do. They ask difficult questions. They study consequences before acting. They think beyond temporary emotions and short-term rewards. This allows them to make decisions that align with their values instead of their impulses. People controlled by ego often move recklessly because they are desperate to prove themselves quickly. They speak without thinking. They compete unnecessarily. They seek instant recognition even when it damages their future. Deep thinkers understand that not every battle deserves attention. Sometimes protecting peace is wiser than proving a point, that emotional discipline becomes power. Deep thinkers also understand patience. Ego wants immediate results because it fears being overlooked. Purpose understands timing. Purpose is willing to grow slowly if the foundation becomes stronger. That is why deep thinkers often appear calm during seasons where others become frustrated. They are not obsessed with temporary appearances. They are building something sustainable. Quiet reflection gives deep thinkers clarity that emotional people rarely experience. They can separate what truly matters from what only appears important in the moment. This protects them from unnecessary conflict, shallow relationships, and impulsive decisions that destroy long-term growth. Leadership research consistently found that individuals who prioritize reflection, strategic thinking, and long-term purpose outperform reactive decision makers in environments requiring sustained performance under pressure. Deep thinkers are dangerous because they are not easily manipulated by trends, opinions, or social pressure. Ego constantly changes direction depending on who is watching. Purpose stays steady even when conditions become difficult. Deep thinkers know who they are, which means outside noise loses control over their choices. They also understand that real confidence does not come from pretending to be superior. Real confidence comes from self-awareness. Deep thinkers recognize both their strengths and weaknesses honestly. Ego hides weakness because it fears judgment. Purpose accepts weakness as an opportunity for growth. This mindset creates humility without weakness. Deep thinkers can listen without feeling threatened. They can learn without feeling inferior. They can admit mistakes without collapsing emotionally. That flexibility allows them to grow faster than people trapped by pride. Ego seeks control over people. Purpose seeks contribution to people. That difference changes leadership completely. Ego-driven leaders often create fear because everything revolves around protecting their image. Purpose-driven leaders create trust because their focus extends beyond themselves. People naturally follow individuals who move with vision instead of insecurity. Deep thinkers also protect their energy carefully. They understand that constant drama, unnecessary arguments, and shallow competition destroy focus. While ego chases every opportunity to prove itself, purpose chooses battles wisely. This allows deep thinkers to stay mentally clear while others exhaust themselves emotionally. The world often misunderstands quiet purpose because it does not always look impressive at first. Loud personalities attract attention quickly. Deep thinkers build influence slowly through consistency, wisdom, and emotional control. But over time, substance always outlasts performance. Many of the strongest people in history were not driven by ego alone. They were driven by vision, responsibility, and meaning greater than personal recognition. Their purpose gave them endurance when applause disappeared. Deep thinkers understand that life becomes dangerous when ego leads decisions. Ego destroys relationships. Ego creates blindness. Ego sacrifices peace for pride. But purpose creates clarity, discipline, and direction that survive difficult seasons. The loudest people often chase importance. Deep thinkers chase meaning, and meaning creates a kind of power that attention alone can never sustain. Calm energy has a powerful effect on people. In a world filled with stress, noise, pressure, and emotional reactions, calmness feels rare. Most people enter situations carrying anxiety, frustration, insecurity, or the need to prove themselves. But individuals with calm energy create a completely different atmosphere. They make people feel safe, understood, and steady even during uncertainty. That is why calm people naturally earn trust and influence over time. Trust is not built only through words, it is built through emotional presence. People pay attention to how someone makes them feel. A calm person communicates stability without needing to announce it. Their energy sends a message that says, I can handle pressure without losing control. That kind of emotional strength becomes magnetic because everyone is searching for certainty in difficult moments. Most people think influence comes from dominance or constant speaking, but influence is often created through emotional control. Loud reactions may attract attention temporarily, but calm energy creates long-term respect. People trust individuals who remain steady during chaos because stability creates confidence. Studies in emotional intelligence and leadership behavior consistently found that calm and emotionally regulated individuals are viewed as more trustworthy, competent, and influential during high-pressure situations. Calm energy also changes communication. Emotional people often speak to release tension. Calm people speak with intention. Their words carry more weight because they are not reacting impulsively. They listen carefully before responding. They understand before judging. That patience makes others feel valued. When people feel heard, trust begins growing naturally. Calm individuals also create psychological safety around them. In workplaces, relationships, and leadership environments, people open up more around those who do not overreact emotionally. They feel less fear of judgment, less fear of conflict, less fear of embarrassment. Calmness creates space where honesty can exist. That emotional safety increases influence because people naturally follow those who help them feel grounded. Many people confuse calmness with weakness because they mistake loudness for confidence. But true calmness requires enormous discipline. Anyone can lose control emotionally. Anyone can react impulsively when pressure rises. Staying composed during difficult moments requires inner strength that most people never develop. Calm people are not emotionless. They simply learned how to control emotions instead of being controlled by them. That emotional mastery becomes visible in their decisions, body language, and presence. Even without speaking much, they change the atmosphere around them. Behavioral research in group dynamics showed that emotionally calm individuals often influence team decisions more effectively than highly reactive personalities because people associate calm behavior with competence and reliability. Calm energy also protects people from manipulation. Emotional instability makes people predictable. Fear, anger, and insecurity can easily control someone's behavior. Calm individuals think clearly before reacting. They create space between emotion and action. That space gives them wisdom during situations where others lose control. Influence grows when people know they can depend on your stability. In difficult moments, people do not search for the loudest voice. They search for the most grounded presence. Calm people become anchors during uncertainty because they reduce emotional chaos instead of increasing it. There is also confidence hidden inside calmness. Insecure people often try too hard to impress everyone around them. Calm individuals do not constantly seek validation because their identity is already stable internally. They are comfortable with silence, comfortable with patience, comfortable without attention. That quiet confidence creates respect naturally. People trust calm leaders because calmness creates clarity. Under pressure, emotional reactions spread confusion quickly. Calm energy slows situations down enough for better thinking to happen. It allows people to focus on solutions instead of panic. Calmness also strengthens relationships deeply. Many relationships fail because emotions control communication. Anger creates damage. Fear creates misunderstanding. Pride creates distance. Calm people know how to communicate without destroying connection. They respond thoughtfully instead of emotionally attacking others. That maturity builds influence because emotional safety creates loyalty. The world often celebrates aggressive personalities because they appear powerful externally. But lasting influence rarely comes from intimidation alone. It comes from consistency, emotional stability, wisdom, and trust. Calm individuals develop these qualities naturally because they are not addicted to emotional chaos. Over time, calm energy becomes impossible to ignore. People begin seeking advice from calm individuals during difficult situations. Teams look to them during uncertainty. Friends trust them during emotional moments. Their influence grows quietly because people feel stronger around them. True influence is not forcing people to follow you. True influence is creating enough trust that people choose to follow your presence willingly. Calm energy creates that trust because it reflects strength without arrogance, confidence without noise, and power without emotional instability. The strongest leaders are not always the loudest people in the room. In fact, many of the most influential leaders speak less than everyone around them. They do not waste energy trying to dominate every conversation or prove their intelligence constantly. Instead, they listen carefully, observe deeply, and speak with intention. That restraint gives their words power. When they finally speak, people pay attention because they know every word carries purpose. Weak leadership often depends on noise. Insecure leaders feel the need to control every discussion, interrupt every idea, and constantly remind others of their authority. But true leadership does not require constant attention. Real leaders create influence through clarity, consistency, and emotional stability rather than volume. Leadership communication studies consistently found that leaders who listen actively and speak with deliberate intention are viewed as more credible, trustworthy, and effective than leaders who dominate conversations excessively. Quiet leaders understand that leadership is not about being heard the most. It is about understanding the most. Listening gives them information that reactive people never notice. They study team dynamics, emotional shifts, hidden concerns, and unspoken tension. While loud personalities focus on expressing themselves, strong leaders focus on understanding others first. That awareness allows them to make wiser decisions. People naturally trust leaders who remain calm and thoughtful under pressure. Constant talking often reveals insecurity, but measured communication creates confidence. Quiet leaders do not react emotionally to every challenge. They pause, reflect, analyze, then they respond with clarity. That discipline creates stability for everyone around them. The strongest leaders also know that influence is not built through fear alone. Fear may create temporary obedience, but trust creates long-term loyalty. Quiet leaders build trust because they make people feel respected and understood. They listen before judging. They create space for others to contribute. They value wisdom over ego. Many people underestimate quiet leaders at first because society often associates leadership with charisma and dominance. But leadership is not performance. Leadership is responsibility. It is the ability to guide people through uncertainty without losing direction. Quiet leaders often excel at this because they are less distracted by personal recognition. Organizational behavior research revealed that leaders who practice reflective communication and controlled emotional responses consistently improve team trust, collaboration, and long-term performance. Strong leaders speak less because they understand the value of timing. Not every moment requires immediate words. Sometimes silence creates stronger impact than endless talking. Quiet leaders choose their words carefully, which makes people listen more closely when they finally speak. Their communication becomes memorable because it is intentional rather than impulsive. Quiet leadership also creates stronger thinking environments. Loud leaders often control rooms through intimidation or constant interruption, which prevents others from sharing ideas honestly. Quiet leaders encourage participation because they understand that wisdom can come from anyone. This creates teams that think more creatively and solve problems more effectively. The strongest leaders are secure enough to let others shine. Ego-driven leaders fear losing attention, so they constantly compete with the people around them. Quiet leaders focus on empowering others instead of protecting their image. They understand that true leadership is measured by how many people grow under your guidance. That mindset creates influence far beyond personal success. Quiet leaders also develop emotional intelligence because they spend more time observing human behavior. They notice exhaustion before burnout happens. They recognize discouragement before performance drops. They sense conflict before it becomes destructive. Their awareness allows them to lead proactively instead of constantly reacting to problems after damage occurs. Calm communication becomes especially powerful during crisis situations. When pressure rises, emotional leaders spread panic quickly. Quiet leaders slow the situation down. Their composure reassures people that solutions still exist. That emotional steadiness becomes a source of strength for everyone around them. Strong leadership is not about controlling attention. It is about controlling direction. Many of history's most impactful leaders were not constantly speaking. They were thinking deeply, listening carefully, and acting strategically. Their influence came from wisdom, discipline, and clarity rather than endless words. They understood that leadership is not measured by how often people hear your voice. It is measured by how deeply your actions affect others. Quiet leaders often carry enormous internal strength because they are not dependent on applause. They continue leading even when recognition disappears. Their purpose stays stronger than their ego. That consistency builds respect over time. The world may celebrate loud personalities quickly, but lasting leadership usually belongs to people who understand the power of restraint, clarity, and intentional action. The strongest leaders do not need to speak constantly to command attention. Their presence, decisions, and calm confidence already speak for them long before words become necessary.